Cool, so we're building a website, and this is what we have so far. And we're starting out mobile first, so it looks like this on mobile. And that's all no JavaScript, all HTML and CSS. If you want to see the code for this, it's on GitHub, git add -- all. Git commit -m. You're doing great. Git push. And you can find all this on GitHub at GitHub. Goes to 11. That's funny. And let me refresh this page. And it's in the repositories and HTML CSS Bootcamp repository, and then in temp, and then Spring 17, and final review 01 is what we're doing here. Nice. So now we're just going to keep building this, and this is a figuring it out as we go kind of a deal. So that's the nature of this video. What did we say our next step was? I think get an SVG in there, right? Let's get an SVG in so that we could have an SVG for an icon. So where do we go for SVGs? Favicon, no, not Favicon, but Font Awesome cheat sheet. Font Awesome cheat sheet! And we want like a plus. Like, hey, see more. Or like a hamburger. So there's a plus calendar, there's a cart plus, there's a Google plus, there's a Google plus circle, Google plus circle, Google plus circle. There's a plus, there's a plus, there's a plus, there's a plus. Do you like any of these pluses? The square, the circle, just the straight up plus. I think the circle, right? So I copy that. I've already installed Font Awesome on my computer. So if I hadn't have done that, I would come here and download Font Awesome, install it on my computer. And now I'm going to start Illustrator! It made you look up. It woke you up a little bit, like, what is he doing? I'm using a teaching technique known as varying your voice. And I need a new, and this is Illustrator. I want it to be 100 pixels by 100 pixels. That's fine, and I'll create it. And now I'm going to paste. And then I'm going to change this to Font Awesome. Font Awesome. And then I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And I'm going to go to File, Document Setup, Edit Artboards, and drop on some of those. And then select this. That's not what I wanted. See, this happened to me last time. That's not what I wanted. Get rid of that. Go away. How do I get rid of it? I'm going to close this. Don't save. File new. File new. 100 by 100. Create. And first, I'm going to go document setup because apparently this screwballs things up when I turn that on. And then Command V. And is that selected? And can I change? See, it's like I'm in Artboard. How do I get out of Artboard? And it's changing the Artboard thing. I just don't name Artboard 3. Do I have layers in here? Window layers. And I've got one layer. And then what's this? That's the one I want. So now is that this one? That's still the Artboard one. How do anybody know this stuff? So that one selected it, but I don't know what that green stuff is I left behind. I left this green thing behind right there. What is that? What's that one? So I'm not going to try to change that then, because it's giving me dramas. I'm going to go to New, Create, New, Create, Paste, Font Awesome, and I'll just eyeball it. The artboard thing isn't quite working for me. And I want to leave some space around the edges of my SVG. And I think I could align this to artboard vertically, horizontally and vertically. Good enough. And do we like the color? Should we have a different color? Me too. So we click that, and 1456 HC is a very nice blue. You like that blue? I like that blue. Okay, so now I'm going to save it, and so I could save this in Documents, HTML, CSS, Temp, Spring, Final Review, 01, Images, New Folder, SVG, and I'll call this one Plus. Okay, and then File, Save As, and I'm going to save it as an SVG and hit Save. And SVG 1.1, convert to outline, embed, link, preserve Illustrator, style elements, decimal places, less options, SVG code. We can look at the code. So we have generator and SVG version, and then all that, and width and height, and style text, and G, and then path. And so that's the stuff I like. Hit OK. And close this, and close Illustrator, and then we could go look at our code. Documents, HTML, CSS. Well, I could see it here. Images, SVG, SVG. So there's my SVG code. I could get rid of all these G's. Just extraneous. I could get rid of this. Get rid of that. I need the version. I don't need that. I do need this. Get rid of that. Width and height, we'll keep that. We'll keep view box. Style, we'll get rid of that. Whoops. There we go. And STO, so we could change this to SVG plus. And change this one to SVG plus as the class. I don't know if we want that style in there. So now we have to look up how do we use SVGs. So we come down here to where we learned about SVGs. And summary, assets. We can look at like index. And so we're going to have SVGs, style display none, and then we'll have symbols with the path, and they'll have IDs, and then we'll use this down here to use them. So in our code, right here, we could have symbol, And the ID is going to be SVG plus. And the view box will be 0, 0, 100, 100. And then, oh, sorry, that's SVG. And then inside, we're going to have symbol. And so I need all this up here. And then I need all this down here. And now we just put the path in there. Okay? And for the path, we're going to take out this class bit. And why is my path here all messed up? Is this path? Oh, that path is all yellow too. And then when we want to use it, we're going to go SVG use. And so right here, instead of this, and I don't know if we need a class on that. We'll go look at what that is, and we'll use, and we're going to use SVG plus. That's what we're using, and so there's our SVG plus. And then we could go look at that class on that code, see what that is. C0. C0 is just a width and a height. Just giving it a width and a height. So if we wanted to, we could just do, this is class SVG plus, this is ID SVG plus, we'll figure out which is which here in a second. So a bit of a big mess. And here we have ID SVG plus. Here we have class SVG plus. I don't know if we need the ID. Like in our example, what was the ID used for right here? ID is Twitter square. And then the CSS on that, we aren't targeting that CSS at all. So I'm thinking that we'll take this one out. And we'll just have, oh, you know where that's used? Right here, right? Put in, this is the ID of this SVG. We're using it right there. And then here we just have the class for the formatting. And so for the formatting on that, that's in the H1. So just to keep things sort of readable, we could have .svg plus, and then the class on that is going to be, the formatting on that is going to be fill this. Fill 1456 8C. Who feels like gambling? Nobody? How many people think it's going to work? Raise your hand. How many people don't think it's going to work? Raise your hand. How many people aren't raising your hand? Please continue to not raise your hand. Everybody. Wow. How many people found this helpful? How many people did not find this helpful? How many people aren't going to raise their hand no matter what I ask? Nice, eh? So how can we make this kind of fun? Why didn't that color show up, first of all? SVG plus, this is the class. Oh, it's red. Okay, maybe it was like that before. Nope, it's black. H1. Now it's back to red. Now it's blue. Why doesn't it like this? Why doesn't it like that? Header, H1, because it's not in the header, right? It's in the label. So we are in the label, body header, body input, body label. There we go. And I think the background color on this should not be purple. It should be like white smoke. And then the color here on the border, 1456 8C. And it should be, right? And what else can we do to make this purty? So we could add a little shadow. How do we do shadow? Remember?
Box shadow? Or font shadow? Text shadow?
I think it's box shadow. You type shadow and just see what comes up. Box shadow. And so then it's going to be X, Y, spread, color, right? So X could be like 10 pixels, Y, 10 pixels, spread, 10 pixels, and red. Let's just see what happens. All right, we got some shadow. So we just need to kind of clean that up a little bit. I think I'll bring it down to 0 on this one, the Y. And I will bring it down to 1 on this one. And I'll bring it down to 1 on this one. 2, 3 on this one. And maybe a gray. It's cool, right? Subtle. You like it? And then this should be a little bigger, that plus sign. So font size, 5rem. Too big. 2rem. I think that's pretty good. Is that a good size touch target on mobile, or is that too big still? Like if that's your phone, right? This is my phone. That's about finger size. Maybe it's a little bit too big, maybe a 1.7 instead of a 2. I like that better. And what else can we do to make that pretty? Sounds good. I gotta tell my buddy sounds good.